Callie Wilson. I am the owner of Art and Sip, and I have taught hundreds of classes over the last few years and thousands of people. And today we're going to go over the materials I use in every single class. Okay, so first up is brushes. So for beginners, I like to use just 3 brushes. Obviously, I do encourage you to go and experiment as much as you possibly can. But here are the 3 brushes that I use in almost every single show. The first brush is called a bright brush or a wash brush. It just depends on who you're talking to. Most of my brushes are dirty. They've been in use for about 8 years now. So, but this is a number 12 wash or bright brush. Also in my classes, if you are teaching classes, I like to name my brushes. So this is my big giant Mac Daddy brush. And I do that, I name my brushes just so that people get more comfortable with actually picking them up and using them as much as they want to without being afraid of them. Next up is my number 6 round brush. I like to call this my middle child or your mostest mediumest brush. And then the last brush I like to use is a number 1 round brush. And I like to call this brush my princess brush or my teeny tiny princess brush. My teeny tiny princess brush. And you guys, for my beginners, these are synthetic brushes. This is Techlon. It's easier to wash, it's much more resilient, it's considerably cheaper. And if you've never used brushes before and you don't really know what you're doing, there are certain brushes with real hair that you really have to maintain and take care of. Otherwise, you will destroy your fairly expensive brush. Also be wary too that brushes differ. Okay, so these are the same size brushes, okay, but notice one is considerably bigger than the other. This is a Liquitex number 12 bright brush. This is a Royal & Langnickel number 12 bright brush. They are both synthetic. Okay, this one is much more expensive than this one. But I also want you to notice the difference, okay? Both of these are number 1 round brushes, okay? Notice the different, like these are considerably different sizes. So I just, I want you to be wary if you are buying things online, just make sure you know what you're buying. So for example, I do encourage you to go into an art store and actually put your hands on the brushes, okay? See what fits in your hands, see what works best for you, okay? Like I need you to be comfortable, not worried about your brushes, okay? Okay, moving on. We don't use these brushes in class, mostly because if I give my attendees too many choices, it gets a little bit confusing. But again, I encourage you to play with your stuff. This is called a bright brush. It is a number 6, and I like to use it if I have a fine edge that I need to kind of cut across that my teeny tiny princess brush is too flimsy to do. This, it's called a filbert. It's got a rounded tip on it. It's not round, right? Like our round brush. This is a number 8. Again, I wouldn't necessarily pay attention too much to the numbers, okay? Because they're all going to be different sizes. This is a fan brush. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it a lot if you've watched Bob Ross in all of his videos. This is one of the biggest tools in his arsenal. These are really great for doing clouds and trees. Again, we don't utilize these in class because they're super flimsy, and if you're a beginner, it's easy to wreck them. And last but definitely not least, I have a ton of these. They're all dirty. They all will, they will all stay dirty. But these are called palette knives, and you can use these for a lot of different things. I like to use them for sand to cut across my water and kind of pull down. It's also great for making mountains. So if you've ever watched people do those as if they were buttering toast and it turns out looking like rocks, these are the bad boys to do it. You can find these at almost any art supply store. They are fairly inexpensive. In fact, I bought a pack of 6 of these and it was only like $5. These two, I will put all of these on the site for you if you want to pick up some stuff. I think it's worth noting to keep in mind how big your canvas is that you're painting. Okay, so for example, the 3 brushes that I use in paint class, these are my standard sized paintings. They are 16 by 20, so I need pretty big brushes. If you're, doing a piece like this big giant guy up here, which is like 4 feet by 3 feet, I used a substantially bigger brushes than just my number 12 wash brush. Okay, so just keep in mind, like if you're doing something like this big, that's my average size. I use those 3 brushes. If I'm doing something small like this, I might downsize to a smaller brush, but again, it's totally up to you. You do you, yeah? Like if you want pieces that are this big, I encourage you. But maybe you don't. Maybe you just want like a teeny tiny little thing. This is an 8x8 square, and my babies use these all the time because it's just the right size for them. But they do use my brushes, the brushes for class. These guys. So just a heads up, yeah, like if you have a really large piece like this, you might want to consider getting larger brushes. But if you're doing a little guy like this, you might want to consider having a smaller brush just to get in the finer details. So the more elaborate your painting is, the more you're going to really want to get in there with something little. All right, that's all. Next up, we'll talk about how you are going to go about maintaining and keeping your brushes lasting forever. Also, as a side note, I really favor Royal and Langnickel brushes. For paints, I like Liquitex Basics. But for brushes, I really do encourage you to get Royal and Langnickel. They just have superior brushes. I've had these same sets of brushes for the last 12 years now. So if you are a beginner and you aren't really sure how to take care or maintain your brushes and their health, Royal and Langnickel is the way to go, and I will link them on my website. Okay, so why do I have my brushes for so long? How have they lasted through the years? So this is my secret weapon. It is called the Masters Brush Cleaner. It comes in teeny tiny cases for travel and bar soap, so you can put it in your own case. Obviously I have a lot of classes, so I have a lot of brushes, so the tub works best for me. I also think it smells the best. It has that lemony fresh scent to it. These kind of smell like spearmint. But you guys, I have tried every brush cleaner along with some WD-40. This is the best. Okay, it cleans brushes, and I also use it to condition my brushes and shape them so that they last forever. And when I say forever, I mean a decade. So far, I've had the same brushes for, yeah, almost 12 years now. So, and we've been running classes this whole entire time. This is maybe $30 off of Amazon, and I will definitely link these too. There's also a stick. It looks like a lipstick stick, or like a glue stick, right? And sometimes they come in packs. But mine's all gone because, you know, I like to scribble it on and stuff. So my stick is gone, but yes, to keep your brushes looking new and pristine clean, this is a must have. Okay, and last but definitely not least, you guys, so this is just a piece of advice that I use in every single class. If this brush is too big for you and you need to downsize to one of your smaller brushes, do it. Or if this brush is too, bulky for you and you need a fine line, upsize or downsize on brushes, okay? Like, you don't need anybody's permission. I need you comfortable, not worried about brush size. Also, I have to say this too in every single class because it is so common. If your brush is so caked with goop that you need to wash it off or wipe it off on your towel, do it. Okay, you don't need my permission. Do it. Okay, like, I need you comfortable and not freaking out about whether you're doing it right. Because baby, you're doing it right. Okay. All right. That's all.